Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video I'm going to crochet this beautiful arm warmer here, so hopefully you guys will follow along. It's very simple to do and it's not gonna take too much yarn to do as well. And I did one last year around this time and it seems like you guys really liked it, so I decided to have another one that hopefully you guys will enjoy the same way. So please go ahead and choose your favorite yarn and let's go ahead and get started. Okay my lovelies, so before we get this project started, I'm going to show you all the materials that I'm using for it. And as you can see here, I have my favorite yarn, and by favorite I mean more color wise. I do love this yarn from Hobby as well. It's called We Heart yarn and it's 100% acrylic, and this skein here is 50 grams. Yeah, so I do love this color. It's kind of like burgundy, as you can tell on my nails as well, even though some of my nail polish is completely coming out. But I just love this color here, so I do tend to do a lot of projects in very bright red or like bright colors. So that is the yarn we're using. Just a few more information. It's a lightweight number 3, and recommended hook size is 4 to 5 millimeters. Millimeter crochet hook, or US G6 or H8, okay, to H8. So these are what you can use it with, and this color is called a 40, or it's color 40, even though you will hear me referring to it as red or maroon. Okay, for a crochet hook size, I'm using one of my favorite ones, G6 US, which is 4.52 millimeter crochet, 4.25 millimeter crochet hook. And I have my stitch markers, my darning needle, a scissors of course, and a tape measure to be able to determine our sizes. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay my lovely, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here, and as you can see, I'm leaving a long tail for the yarn so we can use this to join our panel together. And we're making 2 identical arms panels. So it doesn't matter what this one you're making is. It could be for the right arm or the left arm. It's not gonna matter much, but just leave a little bit of a tail like this. And then we're gonna go ahead and get started by doing a slip knot like that. Okay, we're gonna just put this guy over here, and then we're gonna go ahead and start by doing a chain of 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is my chain of 30 here, and this chain of 30 is going to be the size that needs to go around our wrist here. Okay, so I'm making a small, which is for myself. If you are looking to make it for yourself, what you will do is just take a tape measure like this and measure your wrist. As you can see, I have a very small wrist here, and what I do is, as you can see, let's just measure this first. If you look here, it's about 7. I'm not stretching it, I'm just pulling it to make it straight a little bit. Here it's about 7 inches, but if I was to pull it, it does go a lot. It will go up to about 9 inches, but 7 inches is what I'm making it for. And the reason I'm making 7 stitches is I am going to make it so that it has that type of looseness around my wrist, okay, because this is going to be for my sleeve. I wanted to have that amount of looseness, and when we work into this project, it's gonna kind of bring it down a little bit, so it will probably fit more like a 6, which is still really comfortable like this. Okay, so this is why we did 30. So measure your wrist, see how loose or tight you want it, and you're going to add maybe an inch or so to make it to make sure that when you do stretch it, when you do work the stitches into it, it's gonna kind of shrink it a little bit, and it's gonna work itself to a size that you can still put it on and put it out comfortably. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the first row here. Okay, and for the first row, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip 1, 2. In the 3rd stitch, I'm going to work a double crochet in the back of the stitch, just like this. Okay, and then I'm just gonna move on and do a double crochet in the back of the chain for the next stitch. Okay, and of course you're going to repeat this all the way to the end of the chain. So go ahead and continue doing your double crochet stitches. When you have reached the very last of this row, come back and I will show you how to do the next row. which is going to be a repeat row for this small portion of the project. Okay, see you guys when you have completed the double crochets to this end here. Okay, my lovely, so I have completed the first row here. So as you can see, it just looks something like that. Okay, and this is pretty much going to be the wrist, the part of the wrist that you were making for this project. Okay, all right, so we're gonna do the next row. So we're gonna do a chain of 2 and turn. Okay, and this is where we will do our front post, back post, double crochets. So this chain 2 counts as a stitch, and it goes with this stitch right here. So as you can see, just continues on the same line. So which means the next stitch we're working on is this stitch right next to it, where we yarn over and then we go around the back of that double crochet from the previous row, bring it back. You have 3 loops on the hook like that, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the final 2. Okay, so that is a front post double crochet. Then for the back post, which is going to go in front of these double crochet from the previous row, you're going to yarn over, go from the back like this, bring it in, go around, bring back the loop, the yarn, bring it back through to this side, and then you will have 3 loops again. You go through the first 2, go through the final 2. So that's a back loop double crochet. And then you're going to repeat, and the next one is going to be the front post double crochet. So you're alternating between front post double crochet and back post double crochets, and you're going to do this until you get to the end. Okay, so again, nothing too complicated here. I have done a couple of projects where I use this stitch, so you will be able to use this stitch for different projects, especially usually for borders or the sleeves or the necklines of clothing and things like that. But for now, just go ahead and repeat this until you get to the end. So the last one that you will do, whether it's a back post or front post, will be on this. Don't do anything for the final one here. Then come back and I'll show you how to finish this row and start the next row. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I've completed this row here, and as you can see, I did a front post for the second last stitch here, and we have this stitch here. Believe it or not, there's this one stitch here that we haven't worked into yet. And so for this final stitch, we're just going to do a double crochet on top of the chain 2 of that work. So the top of that work, we're just going to go on top of it and do a double crochet just like this. Okay, so that matches this side. As you remember, we didn't do anything here. We have a chain 2, and then we didn't do anything on that very next stitch. We on that very same stitch on the next stitch is where we started to work. So you're doing the same here to match it. Okay, all right, so for the second row, we do a chain 2 and turn, or third row in this case. And then what you do from here on is you just match what you did, what you see. So for example, this is a stitch here, but it's a back post. Right now it looks like it's in the back, but it was actually the front, which is this stitch here. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to do a back post double crochet on that stitch because it's in the back of this. When I have my work lined up like this, it's showing that it's in the back. So I'm just going to grab that and do a double crochet in the back of that. So a back post double crochet. And then for this one here, as you can see, it protrudes. It looks like it's on this side, and I'm just going to line it up by doing a front post double crochet on that one. And then in the next one, I'm going to do a back post double crochet, and in the next one, a front post double crochet. So I'm just following pretty much what I see here because we want to line them up. We want to make sure they line up like this. Okay, like this. As you can see, this is lined up here, and if you go in the back, this is lined up here, this is lined up here. Okay, so you're going to continue this, and when you get to the end, you're going to do your back post double crochet right here because this is the back, and then you're going to do a double crochet and do it on top of that, chain 2 and turn. And we're going to do a total of 6 rows like this. So as you can see, I have my 3 rows here. I just started my 4th row of this is my 3rd row. I'm going to do until 6, and when I have 6 rows, I'm going to come back. So you do the same, and I will show you what to do when you have your 6 rows, and then we're going to start the next part of the project. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed 6 rows for the band of the these arms warmer. So just the part of it that goes right here. Okay, so this is it. I have 6 rows. You can obviously do as many rows or as less rows as you want, but for the sake of this tutorial, we did 6 rows, and this is how it looks like. Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about measurements here. So like I said, again, this part is for this section here, and then we're going to be building our arms warmer up this way. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you measure the widest part of your arm. Okay, so in my case, I use my tape measure like this, and I measure the widest part of my arm, and it doesn't matter where that is. What I do is it goes a little bit more closer to the top of my shoulder. So that part is the widest part of my shoulder, and it usually comes up to about 11 inches, around like this. So I do have small arms like this. So what I will do is, I know this section here is not gonna fit my arm or the biggest part of my arm, so we're gonna make sure we increase. So I'm not gonna have my work going up and staying at this measurement here. So do the same, and when you have that, we're going to increase the beginning of our arms warmer here. So I will show you guys how to do that, and you will increase based on what size you need to get. And also, obviously, you could do this a little bit even more further, like do more rows of it, or start the actual project with more stitches, so that you can have a wider part here, so that for it builds it even up wider if you have bigger arms. But I'm making it for a small, as you can see here. Okay, so what we will do here, this is my 6th row finished here, and I'm just going to chain 1 and turn just like this. And so we're going to start increasing. So this counts as a stitch. Okay, so this counts as a stitch. So in the next stitch right here, we're going to do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, just like that. And then we're going to move on to the next stitch, which is this stitch right here. We're going to do 1. So the reason we're doing 2 right here is because we're increasing. And then we do 1 in the next, and in the next one from there, we do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. So we're increasing there. Then we move on to the next, and we do 1 half double crochet, just like that. Then we move on to the next space right here, and we do 2 half double crochets. So we're increasing in that. And you're going to continue to do this all the way until you get to this end here. And when we have that, we will start to notice, as you can see here already, we're noticing that it's kind of going outwards like this. And that's the point, because we want to start to build it wider, because our arm goes bigger as it goes up towards our body. Okay, so I will have you guys increase every other stitch. So in every other stitch, you put 2 stitches, or you put 2 half double crochets in it, and then in every other stitch you do 1. When you get to this end here, come back and I'll show you how to move on to the next step. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone to the end of the row here, as you can see. So I did my 2 half double crochets in this stitch here, but we do have 1 more stitch. This is actually a stitch out here, so we're going to do 1 final one there. So since we're alternating, and I did that the last stitch here, I put 2 half double crochets in it and end up doing just 1 on this end, which end up matching this end where we just started with a chain 1, which does count as a half double crochet. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Your work should look very wide and out now at this point, and this is so that we can have it fit the widest part of our arm. If you stretch this, it will fit that. So for me, again, like I said, mine is about 11 inches. So if I just go like this, it adds up to about 9, but if I stretch it, it will bring me to about the 11 point mark, as you can see. So this is 11 here. So this is going to be how you want it to fit. If you do want your arms warmer to be a lot looser in terms of the fit, then what you can do is you can increase in every stitch. So you know how we skip the stitch and we increase in the next, and we skip a stitch, or we do 1 half double crochet in a stitch and then we do 2 in the next stitch. What you can do is you can increase by doing the increases on every single stitch all around, and it will create it even more wider like that. Or at the beginning, you just start with more stitches or more chains that like we started here. And that will increase your sizing. So this is a small. Obviously, if you want to get a medium, instead of starting with 30 chains, you could start with 35. And then for a little bit larger, you could just increase the stitches by 10 stitches at a time. Okay, so you could do from 30 to 40 gives you a medium, from 40 to 50 gives you a large, from 50 to 60 gives you an extra large. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So we're gonna start our next row, and the next row is not going to be an increased row anymore. So we're just gonna chain one here, and then we're gonna turn, and then we're gonna start to work in the back loop of our stitches to be able to create the ripple effect that we have. So we're just gonna go into the very next stitch there and do a half double crochet in the back loop of the stitch, and we're gonna just continue to do that until we go to the end. And again, as you guys know, for the last final stitch, I go through both stitches, and then we do chain one and turn. So as you can see, you just do your half double crochet stitches this way, and you create a nice wavy effect to your sweater or to your arms warmer. So I will have you guys continue to do this. So just half double crochets in the back loop until you get to the end. For the final one, go through both loops and then come back, and I will show you guys how to start the next row, and then it just becomes to repeat from there until we have the length, and we will talk about the how you end up getting the length of the arm warmer. Okay, all right, so work until the end, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have reached the end here for the second row of working up that way. And as you can see, I finished it off here. I went through both loops as opposed to just the back loop. And this is how my work's starting to build up. So as you can see, again, it starts to widen like this. And as you work, it's going to keep going like this. So in terms of it fitting you properly, you're not going to have any problem because this part of it is going to get wider, which would fit the widest part of your arm very well. So eventually when we join everything, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so I'm going to start the next row, and I'm going to chain one and turn, and then we're going to go right into the very next stitch from there and do our half double crochet in the back loop, and then we're going to move to the next stitch and do our half double crochet in the back loop, and then we just repeat this until we have one stitch to go. We go through both loops for that stitch, and then we chain one and turn, and then we just repeat that until we build the length of our arm. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that to you guys. So what I mean by building the length of our arm is what you will do is you will take your tape measure and you will measure your arm, let's say from here. So place the tape something like this, and I measure in inches, so you can measure in whatever method you want or whatever measurement you want. But you just put that there, which is where our arms warmer sleeve will go up to here. And then you just measure it all the way up until you go to the base of your neck, or yeah, so you go to the base of your neck. So I'm just holding it like this because it's not something that is easy to measure like this. When I measure mine, I usually have my husband help me with it. So you will need someone to help you hold this here, or somebody to measure it. So you stretch your arm really wide, and then somebody can measure this part of it for you until you go to the base of your neck. Because we're making the arms warmer, we need to make it go to the base of our neck. Okay, so when I measure that, I come up to about 25 inches. So 25 inches is what I come up with for my size. So for you will be a different length depending on how long or short your arms are. So what I will do then is I will work my stitches here until I have that length. So when I have my arms warmer completed and it's long, I'm gonna be able to measure like this, and it's gonna be able to take me all the way until I get to 25 inches. And that's how I will find that's how I will determine the size or the length of the sleeve. Okay, so continue to work this until you get that length. When you have it completed, come back and we will look at how it looks like, and then we will go ahead and get started with the second one, and then we'll just move on from there. Okay, so I will see you guys when you have finished one sleeve. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed one sleeve here for my arms warmer. So as you can see, this is pretty much how it looks like. Don't worry how this curves in like this. I think I just kind of stretched it a little bit, and when you stretch it, wherever you stretch it kind of leaves a mark that kind of looks like it's a little bit off in terms of a shape, but it's not actually like that. But anyway, so this is pretty much the length of it here. I decided to go up to 26 inches as opposed to my 25 inches, just so it could be a little bit looser than I wanted initially. But that's something that you could just correct on your own, and you don't have to, it doesn't have to be that. So again, when I measure this, as you can see, I have it right here like that. And if I measure it, it comes to about 26 inches right here. And the total number of rows that I completed is about 74 inches, okay? So with that done, I have already cut off my excess yarn, and I obviously left it hanging a little bit longer like this, so I can use it to join my work later. But for now, this is pretty much the length of one sleeve completed. And of course, when we have everything done, we're gonna be able to join it like this. I hate that I stretched it here, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. But yeah, this is pretty much how we will join. We will join this section here, and then we will have this section here go right underneath our neck, and then create our arms warmer. But yeah, so one is completed. So what you will do is just go ahead and repeat, and if you need to go back and rewatch the video, restart the project exactly the same, because we need to create a second panel for the second arm. So you're gonna repeat the exact same thing. Don't do anything different. Don't use a different yarn. Just go and repeat it exactly the same. Use the exact same hook to work with, and then when you have both of your sleeves completed, come back to the video, and then we will look at both, and then we'll go ahead and start joining before we create the neckline. Okay, all right, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my second sleeve here as well. So as you can see, I have both of them completed. So exactly the same, just two panels, one for each arm. And again, what I did was I just cut the string to have a little bit left hanging there. I just now actually realized that I didn't actually need to do this, because we're not going to be needing it here. We do have the one at the beginning though. When we started the project, I wanted you guys to leave these a little bit longer so we can use it to join our sleeve like this. So this is gonna be more useful this way than actually the one that I left here, but hey, I'm used to like leaving the string hanging so that we can use it to join the work together. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step here. So with your two sleeves completed, okay, so we have them done. What we're gonna do is we're going to start working on the joining. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take, let me just remove one of them out of the screen here. You're going to take one of your sleeves, and it doesn't matter which side you fold, but just for my preference, how I usually do it, if you have your sleeve like this, you will see that there's these sections here that kind of goes in here like this, that doesn't have that much on this side. So I will usually join it like this. Okay, so this is how I would join my work, is folding it like this. And then what we will do is we will take our darning needle, and then we'll put it in this here, and then we will just join it until we get to where we want to section out our armpit area. So in this case here, I'm going to do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5. For now, we're gonna do it so that this is our armpit area. So I will put my stitch marker right there. And just so you know what I'm counting here, I'm just counting these bumps here, and each bump is 2 rows of the work. So with me counting out 15 here, it's actually 30 rows that I counted down this way. Okay, so what I will do then, and what we can do is we can move this around. So if we realize this is too big of an armhole, we can always continue joining it up this way. So always try to leave it a little bit bigger than what you may need, just in case you're gonna need to adjust that, because it's better to continue sewing up than to actually undo the sewing. Okay, and then for these here, we're gonna use our darning needle here, and we're gonna put our yarn into the needle's hole like that, and then we're gonna start joining this guy here. So we're just gonna line it up really nice and well like this, and we're gonna actually also zoom so that you can see it properly. And then we're going to start joining here. Just the very first stitch here, we're gonna go ahead and join. We're going to go into that same spot twice to make sure we're joining that very well here. And then you're just going to go into the next section. So here there's no actual definite stitches that you're working with. You're just kind of spacing it out nice and even, so that it's not too gappy and it's not too tight and bulky in one same area. So you're just gonna continue to join it like this, and you're gonna this part here is a little bit difficult compared to when you get to the section here where it gets a little bit easier. So where you did your alternation of back post and front post double crochets is where it's a little bit challenging, but then when you go into the actual section here, it's gonna start to be a little bit easier. But the main thing is you just want to make sure you're spacing your needle out in a good way that is gonna make it's gonna create like a nice and clean joining. Okay, so we're gonna do this all the way to where our stitch marker is. So as you can see here, we have a stitch marker here, and you're just gonna continue to join this until you get to there. And when you get to there, stop, but don't remove the yarn. So you can remove the darning needle, but don't disconnect the yarn. If you have some excess yarn left, leave it there undone or untied, and then we can continue to do the second one, and then we will leave that there until we have joined everything and done our neckline. And if we do, and then we'll try it on obviously, and if we do try see that the armpit area is too wide, then we can go in and kind of do a little bit more of adjusting there. Okay, but for now, just continue to join your work. So as you can see here, this is where I'm joining it. Continue to join your work until you get to the stitch marker, and when you get there, come back and we will look at how it looks like, and then we'll go ahead and do the second one. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see here, I've gone ahead and joined it to where the stitch marker was. So this is where I stopped, and that will leave this section here for our armpit, like just where our arm will be. And as you can see, this is where the joining is. This is gonna end up being the inside of our sweater. What I often do is when I join work like this, especially when it's not very definite stitches and it lumps up a little bit, I end up having to have this section as the inside. So when everything is done, I'm going to flip it to this side where you can see it's a lot more nicer. So if you do see your work looking like this, please do not worry too much. We will flip it around. So with this done, we're going to put these on the side, and then we're going to get started with the second one. Okay, and for the second, we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to count out 30 stitches from the top, from this side here. We're going to count out 30 stitches. And then we're going to put a stitch marker, and then we'll join until we get to the stitch marker. So just do exactly what you did for the first one. When you have that done, come back and I will show you how to move on to the next step. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have joined both of the sleeves. As you can see, this is joined, and I have the armhole open here. And then the armpit hole, and then the same thing for this one here. So both of them are done, and we're just going to keep it like this for now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to work on the neckline, and we're going to do something like this. So we're going to pretty much place our sleeve, one of the sleeves like this, and then we're going to place the other one like this. Okay, so this is pretty much upside down right now. So if you were wearing this is where our armpit would be. Okay, but we're placing it like this because we're gonna work on it like this. Okay, so you have a choice to either just do a really quick connection here. So for example, I have this yarn that is hanging here. What I can do quickly is I just do this, bring it to the other side. Okay, and we could just leave it like this, so we know here is connected like this, and we could do the same on the other side. And this is just going to have the two sides kind of joined like this, like that. I'm gonna redo this one here. Okay, and the reason we're doing this is because this is where our neck is gonna come through our head, and then our neck is gonna rest right there. So we're doing this like this to be able to work in this circle here. So this is going to be where our neckline is. So then we're going to pretty much flip it like this, and we're going to start working on it around here like this. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in our yarn. Okay, and of course we're keeping the same color, the same everything, so we're not changing anything in this case. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to do a slip stitch here like this, and then I'm going to go on this side of my project here, and I'm going to bring my slip stitch through like that. Then I'm going to chain one, and then the project now will just move to the other side here. So what I will do is I'll just go straight and do a half double crochet right there. Actually a double crochet, sorry, a double crochet right there. And what we will actually do, just so here after we do that, we do a chain two, and then we do a double crochet on the opposite side. We're not going through one loop, we're going through both loops. And then we're gonna go right into the next stitch, and we're gonna do a double crochet, and then into the next stitch we're gonna do a double crochet. So what we're doing here pretty much is we're working our double crochets around, and we're gonna go all the way past the other side here where we have this kind of holding this place a little bit close together here, and then we're gonna come all the way to this area where we just started. So we're gonna work our next double crochet right there, and then when these two sides have rejoined again, we're gonna start to do what we did with the sleeves here, which is to do the back loop, front stitch, front post double crochet, and then back post double crochet, and we will alternate that until we have a neckline that we're satisfied with. But for now we are just going to do the double crochet stitches around until we come back to this section. So do that, go around here. When you get to this section here, you will do your one double crochet right here, and the next one will skip right to the other side. Then when you have that done, come back and I will show you guys how to start the next row. Okay, so I have gone all around here. So as you can see, I just did a double crochet around the neckline, and I have come back to where we started the project. So what I will do is I will just slip stitch on top of the chain two that we did. It closes this gap like this. What we will do later is we will use this yarn here to close this area here because it is a little bit open, but it's just because I just moved this yarn to the other side to bring it, but we will use it to tighten this area here. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to do a chain of two to start my front post, back post double crochet, and after my chain two, I'm going to go into this very next stitch here and do my front post double crochet just like that. Then I'm going to go to the next one here and do my back post double crochet. You guys should know this by now because we have been doing a few projects where we're using this stitch, and then we just alternate. So the next stitch is gonna be a back post double crochet, and the next is gonna be a front post double crochet, and we're going around the double crochet stitches that we did, and this is we're alternating going around those double crochet stitches, and we're doing double front post, back post double crochets. Okay, so we're just gonna do these all around again until we come back to where we just started off this row here. So go ahead and continue to do this until you come back here. When you've reached this here, come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I've completed the first row of the back post, front post double crochet. So as you can see, this is pretty much how it looks like, and because we've reached the end here, we're going to slip stitch on top of the chain two that we started it with, just like that, to join these two sides. Okay, so again, just keep in mind the neckline here looks a lot bigger on the camera than it actually is in reality. But this is going to be the neckline. It's going to keep coming in slowly a little bit because when we work with this stitch here, it does kind of make it come in closer as you continue to work it. I'm not sure exactly how many rows I will do. I would like to do a little bit of a small turtleneck, so I will do a couple of rows, and for you obviously do however many rows you want. So because of that, it will come and make it a little bit smaller. Okay, I'm going to do a chain of two to start the next row, and this is where we turn our work, so we don't work one side to the other, we're gonna turn here, and then we're gonna start to work our front post double crochets following the pattern from the previous row. So for example, you see that I did, after my chain 2, I did a front post because that is the front post that is showing. And then for the next one, I'm going to do a back post, which is to follow the pattern. So you're pretty much doing the opposite of what it is from the previous row. So as you can see, I went and did a front post here. This is technically the back post from the previous row. And I will do a back post here, which is technically a front post from the previous row. And then you're just going to continue to do this all the way again until you come back around here. When you have done your last post right here, this stitch here is going to be your back post double crochet. You will slip stitch on top of this here, chain 2, turn, and then repeat. And this is what we're repeating until we have the size of the neckline that we're looking for, or the neck size, amount, or whatever you want to call it. Like I said, I'm going to make mine into a small turtleneck just so I have a little bit of a coverage on my neck as well. So yeah, I'm going to do that. And then when I have reached the size that I'm looking for the turtleneck, I'm going to come back and I will show you guys how it looks like, and you can show me how yours look like as well. Yeah, so this is pretty much it here. So I'm going to continue to repeat this pattern as I go back and forth like this until I have what I need, and then I'll come back. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and worked 6 rows for the neck portion of the arms warmer here. So as you can see, I pretty much wanted to match what we did for the sleeves. So in terms of the length of the neck part, it is the same as this. You can continue to do this here to be able to make it into a turtleneck, or make it a little bit longer up your neck, but I like it like this, so this is where I'm gonna stop. Okay, so to kind of finish this section off, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm gonna cut it off somewhere here. And then what I will do is I will go ahead and slip stitch this here to close that off. And then what I will do is I will weave these in, and then that's pretty much the end of the project. So there's not much to be done here. And as you can see, these are the sleeves here. So it goes all the way down here, then up your arm, and then of course this side here as well. Okay, now for the neck to continue to get smaller here, like I said, when we started it off here, it looked a little bit wide, but as you work your project, it gonna continue to get smaller like this when you continue to do this stitch here. Another thing that you can do is you can reduce the stitches. If you see that it's continuing to stay wide for whatever reason, try to reduce the stitches by decreasing and going through 2 places instead of just 1. So for example, if I was continuing the front post back post from here, I would probably end up, instead of doing the front post here and then the back post, I would probably make this both as a front post like this, or actually even better yet, you skip this here and you do this into a front post. So these 2 stitches end up going together, and then you do back post like this, or you do the back post just the one like this, and then when you come to the next, you make these 2 stitches become a front post again. I will do a little bit of a video and put it in shorts to show you guys how you can reduce when you're working with back post, front post, and you can refer to that if you want to reduce it. If you don't want to reduce it, then you just continue to work it. The other method is we used the 4.25 crochet hook to do this. What you can always do to make your stitches smaller, or continue to start to get smaller, is you can change your hook and go smaller. So if you're using a 4.5, for example, you can go to 3.5 or even 3. And because you're using a smaller hook, it's going to reduce your work because of that. But otherwise, this is how the neck is going to be. This is pretty much the end of the project here. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching the video to the end. And I really hope that you try something like this. I do have a neck warmer that I did last year that is doing pretty good. A lot of people like it, so I wanted to make a different version of it, and this is it here. So thank you so much again, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.